Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host for a live podcast from Southern California, How to Fight CPS and Hang On to Your Children or Get Your Children Back. Most of you found me on Facebook, How to Fight CPS, and you've been directed to my YouTube podcast. I'm using StreamYard application, and I'm here to help you with your CPS case. I'm a loving father, husband, 6 children, married 32 years, and I know what it is to be in with CPS. It happened to me in 2015. I've been fighting them for 14 years, and I've talked to people all over the United States, all over the world, and it seems like it's very consistent of that CPS is very corrupt, not transparent. They lie. They do horrible things. They're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family unification. Instead, they're abusing the parents. They're abusing the children. They're trafficking the children. If you don't believe me, there's so many stories on here about how CPS has been so abusive and so alienating your children and traffic your children into foster care. You know, they take your children when they're not in imminent danger. It's sad. I mean, my case, they took my children and they're in school. They were in imminent danger. And there's nothing wrong with where they're living or going to school or eating stuff. I just had a layperson, a family layperson, which is on my wife's side, that called in repeatedly for 5 years since I lost my job through no fault of my own, to say we weren't taking care of our kids. They never were behind us. For 32 years, they've been after us. They're bad in-laws, bad family. They're the ones that should be involved with CPS because their daughter was abused as a young child. My wife, yes, she was raped twice, molested by her brother, hot coffee, hot water. I could tell you the numerous and extreme danger that she was in growing up. And where is CPS today? Ignoring it. They ignore all kinds of cases. There are cases out there, don't get me wrong. But it is bad. I like to go over our housekeeping rules here. Let me do the first one here. Is that if you want to excuse me, I had my number there. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, we can do that out of order. I don't know. If you want to call in, I have a phone here. Let me see here. Make sure my phone is live. In fact, we got some people. Danielle's my co-host and Faye, and I need to tell them that I'm on and stuff. Okay. Let me get Faye going here and Danielle. Up there's Danielle. She's come on. I'm waiting for devices to get. So she's here, and then a Faye. So. Have notified. Okay. There you are, Danielle. I'm going to try to add you. Yeah. I was just going over our housekeeping, and I was talking about
Hello,
the
can you hear me?
phone. Go ahead, Daniel.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's not intermittent. Let yourself calm
Can you
down.
hear me?
Yeah, just hold on a second. Just be patient. Let the system catch up with you.
Okay.
Okay. Um, it's as I was
Okay.
saying. Here we go. Okay. Good morning. Who am I talking to? Huh?
Yes, this is Jessica.
Yeah. Hi, Jessica. I was just putting my phone number up to tell everybody that you can call in at 626-698-0990. And welcome.
Okay.
What city and state or country are you from?
We are from Columbia, Louisiana,
Okay, Columbia,
and
Louisiana. Well, welcome.
we are going through the CPS system now. Me and my husband, we have three small kids, and their ages are 3, 4, and 6.
Okay.
And we had a worker come into our home because of a complaint that someone called in
How did
because
they
we
come
were
into
robbed.
how did they come into your home?
Well, they came up. My husband was out back catching lizards out back with the kids. We had been up the night before because the kids had the flu.
Okay.
And so I was still asleep because I had been up
Right.
that night with them.
Right.
And so when they walked to the backyard, it was two of them. And my husband told them, they said they were from CPS. And my husband said, yeah, we've been expecting that y'all were coming because we had the text messages and threats that they were going to call CPS
Who's
on me and
they?
my husband.
Who's they
The
threatened?
people who robbed us. We had videos
Okay.
of them.
This is
The
sad.
people and
This is so sad because the CPS, did you invite them in your home?
no, my husband told them that they weren't coming in our home, that we would like to speak to a lawyer. And
What did they do then? What did they do then?
they got very aggravated with him. They claimed that he threatened them, which he did not.
Yeah.
He just told them they weren't coming in. She told him that they weren't leaving without speaking to me. And he said, well, I'll go get her and I'll wake her up, but she's sick. And so they didn't go to their car. They sat there and waited. And my husband come back and said that CPS was outside. And when I walked out, she told me that she had a van in tow to come and remove my kids, and that the sheriff's office was on their way.
Okay, but did they have a warrant?
No, they had no warrant. But like I said, I messed up because I had never dealt with CPS.
I understand.
He had heard
Yeah.
that and that's scary for a mom.
Yes, it is.
That and I don't live a life where my kids can be taken. And now they've closed the case. They wound up removing my kids from me and my husband.
Did they show you a warrant? Did they show you a warrant?
No, they had no warrant.
Well, then how did you give them the kids?
Well, they made me and the kids leave the home. They said we could not stay. She had called the cops. And then we got in the van that she called, and we went to my friend's house.
Yeah, see, that was the problem. Your mistake is you should have just gone in the house, closed the door, and called your attorney or pretend you call your attorney and ignore them. Because they can't go into your yard. They can't go into your house without your permission or a warrant. And even the police are done the same way.
Yes, and so I know that now. My husband just told you.
Yeah, I know. It's sad because I didn't know it and I did the same thing you did. So don't feel bad. I feel sorry out there for people that don't know that.
Well, now they closed the case.
Well, wait, you just told me the case was open. How did they close the case? They have to do investigation.
They never even did it. They made us go through, do drug testing, we passed all that, we've done middle evals, they made us go through all these things.
Did you have a detention hearing? Did you have a detention hearing?
Yeah, well, we did, and CPS wasn't wanting it. They were wanting it.
And I guess you went to the hearing, and did you have a hired attorney, or did you use the court-appointed attorney?
Yes, we hired an attorney.
Wow.
And they were wanting to keep them in foster care.
Well, wait a minute. If they just got your kids, they got to determine a plan where to put the kids. Why they determine they need to put them in foster care? Why couldn't they be with next of kin or some of your family members?
They refused. They said because we were such a danger. They claimed because we were such a danger, they felt.
Oh my goodness! What kind of allegations? What kind of allegations were you guys accused of?
What allegations were we accused of?
Were you accused of abuse or neglect?
It says on our paperwork lack of supervision.
Okay, that's called neglect. So you're charged with neglect for lack of supervision. And how were you lack of supervision?
They gave our kids to someone that is related to them as foster parents, and they were collecting the money. They're still collecting.
Oh, I know. They get $20,000 per child. The CPS workers do, and they also per child per month, and then they get additional $5,000 to the foster care people. It's a racket. It's a $50 billion business. All they want is money. It looks like you guys have been railroaded. How come your attorney, was he a dependency law attorney?
Well, we think we have enough to sue them now, but they said they're protected so much by immunity.
Do you still have your medical and educational rights to your children? Yes. Do you still have your medical and educational rights?
Medical and educate, what's that?
Okay. You, as a parent, have the right to tell what doctor your child goes to, and you, as a parent, have a right to what school your children go to. When they first investigate you, they do not take away those rights. Those are your constitutional rights.
No, they took every one of our rights without reason, without investigation.
Well, that is against the law. That's against the law. Is that attorney? I don't know if that attorney is a dependency law attorney. If he's a dependency law attorney and he's fought CPS, well, yeah, it sounds like the attorney you got is just taking your money.
He's a court-appointed attorney.
Oh, that's why I asked you earlier, and you said no, he was a paid attorney. The court-appointed attorneys, yeah, well, you don't need to pay a court-appointed attorney. They're double dipping. They're getting paid by CPS. They're double dipping you, and you don't understand that the court-appointed attorneys, they take advantage of parents. See, we're not born with a book of how to fight CPS or how to go to court. You know, we don't have those instruction manuals. So you learn the hard way. So what you need to do is you need to get a real attorney. A court-appointed attorney is a waste of time. They're just going to railroad you, do nothing. They only meet you at the time of the hearing.
Well, yeah. Because they closed the case. He didn't. The girl, the CPS worker, supposedly got reprimanded because she acted a fool on the stand when she was questioned. She was telling me that my kid wasn't in school, and my answer to her was, "Well, ma'am, where was he at?" She brought him to this homeless shelter. And come in the middle of the night and took the kids away from me.
What was wrong with your home? What was wrong with your home?
She said that my husband was too violent. that I could not be around my husband, because he was too violent.
Okay.
She felt threatened by him.
Okay. Well, the biggest problem is the mistakes you made is you guys could have just gone in the house, locked your door, and they can't get in unless the children are in immediate danger. And so
Yeah, and I did. I made that mistake because when she told me she already had a ban in mouth to take my kids, I automatically panicked.
well, I understood that's threatening. They try to threaten you. They try to use the cause. Oh, we got the sheriff's coming. Unless they have a warrant, they can't really do much.
Yeah, she said she had the sheriff and she had a van in tow to take my kids.
They lie. They lie. They're deceptive. They are. You guys need to get an attorney. Why? Yeah, I understand that. And the only way you're going to get out of this mess is to get a right attorney. If you have to have open heart surgery, are you going to cut open your chest to work on your heart? Are you going to get your husband to work on your heart? Are you going to get a plumber or a mechanic? No, you're going to get a professional doctor, and that's why you need a professional attorney. You need a dependency lawyer. And I understand money is a problem. Money is a problem, but there's a way you get around it called pro bono. And you just have to word it and search it and spend maybe 40 hours interviewing attorneys and then getting it down your list from 10 that you find down to 5 that you're going to have a consultation with. And when you have the consultation, they will help you better. Like I have an attorney right now that will talk to you for 30 minutes. He's $60, but he will tell you about the strategies and how to fight your case and navigate through CPS. His name is Vincent W. Davis.
What about, I have a validation because they're trying to, they closed the case, but now they're trying to put validation.
Well, no, you can appeal the case. By the way, the case is not closed. I can't believe. When did the case happen? When did it open up? What year?
March 13th.
Oh,
yes,
March of this year? March of this year?
Yes.
Well, they can't close the case. They're trying to railroad you. They are really trying to do it. They're very abusive. They lie. They deceive. You're dealing with, it's like you trying to open up your chest yourself and work on your heart. That's how bad CPS is. You need a dependency attorney. You need an attorney that knows how to fight CPS. And they're hard to find. Now, you're in Columbia, Louisiana. What's the next biggest city to Columbia?
Monroe.
Shreveport. Okay. So what you do is you say, find in Columbia and Shreveport, Louisiana, and a pro bono dependency attorney.
And if they put this X on us that I won't be able to work as around kids, Sunday school taught, I won't be able to do that.
Here's one that you can get. There's several people listed here. There's Ask a Louisiana Lawyer online. Consult with a Louisiana attorney. There is Family Pro Bono Attorney, no retainers or hourly fees. A Louisiana Pro Bono Lawyers. Find a lawyer at no cost, Pro Bono Lawyers. Pro Bono Project. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people you can call. And I just typed in find in Columbia and Shreveport, Louisiana, a pro bono dependency attorney. And when you talk to them, you're going to have to first find out. Okay, I was going to tell you, you need to first find out how much find out if they are still open for business, because when you call them, they'll answer. If they don't answer, then they may not be open for business. You got to find out if they're pro bono for real. Are they sincere about that? Then you need to ask them, do they have dependency attorneys that will fight CPS? Attorneys that will fight CPS. And so when you get answers to those questions, then you have a consultation with them. And as I say, my attorney will talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. And he will tell you and help you navigate and what to do. And if you like him, you can hire him. He will go to other states, but he's got airfare and car rental and accommodations that have to be paid for him to go out of state because he works in Southern California. But what your problem is you've been had by a very disruptive. I don't know. These are the first person from Colombia. I've had other people from Louisiana, and I'm sorry you're going through this. It really is really hard to hear that they're taking advantage of you. And you wouldn't be calling in if you're not a good mother. You wouldn't care about your kids, you and your husband, about your children. And it's a shame because they're going to be abused in foster care. Foster care is corrupt.
Oh, they were. We documented.
Yes.
My mother-in-law, they were finally given. My mother-in-law and father-in-law had to spend. We got doctor documentation. Yeah, we've got doctor documentation.
Well, you need an attorney to get the documentation into court. That's what you need.
They bruised. The day we got them out, we took them to the doctor. Their hands were bruised.
Yeah, I know.
The back of their neck.
Well, there's also molestation, too, that takes place. So, believe me.
Yeah, my 3-year-old little girl had a yeast infection. She's never had a yeast infection.
I know. This is the sad part is that, yeah, you can get letters from your doctors to examine your children, and there's documentation. You can, you're right.
We have it.
What you need an attorney to put together and knows the laws of CPS. The magic thing is you need a fighter for CPS. Now, Vincent W. Davis, the one I gave you to, is a fighter. He's been doing this for 35 years, and he's a trial attorney, and he can be reached at 888-888-6582. And that's the office. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. And he will talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. It's well worth the dollars that are spent there. And you'll feel a lot better.
My husband's writing down the number.
Yeah, 888-888-6582. 6582. Also, there's a website, and you type in Candly, CALENDLY.com/law office of VWD/Bob Pace. Well, it's on the screen. It's on the screen. Yeah, it's Candly, CALENDLY.com, law office VWD/Bob Pace. So what you do is you go to the website Candly.com, CALENDLY.com, and /law office VWD/Bob Pace. And when you go there, you'll see a schedule, and you can schedule a time. If you don't want to call in, you can call in. That is good, but you have to schedule a time for the consultation. Now, with the other attorneys that I found, you can look them up on the internet. There's 5 of them. And they're Louisiana attorneys, and they say they're pro bono, but you need to make a phone call to find out if they are. You need to find out if they fought CPS and dependency court. That's the key word, is CPS dependency court. And you want a dependency attorney. A dependency attorney.
I want a dependency attorney. What? A dependency attorney.
That's what you need. That's the kind of attorney you need to fight your case. It's called a dependency attorney. Attorney that knows how to fight CPS. That's not afraid to.
We want to sue the state. We've already closed the CPS case. We want to sue the state.
He's saying they're lying.
Well, you can sue them, but it's too soon right now because your case was in March. You don't need to close the case. You can appeal anything that did against you. I've never seen a CPS case get over in March, April, May because or June. That's in
You
4
know what
months.
happened? The judge took it from CPS and that did y'all out of it. I'm putting it over myself. And the judge whacked him out of it.
Well, how could he?
Yeah,
It's
the judge.
well, the
out of
judge. You can appeal that. There's no. First of all, did they do family? See, I asked if you did the jurisdiction or what you call it, the detention hearing, because after the detention hearing, there is going to be a jurisdiction depositions, and there's the 6 months, another 6 months, 6 months, and so it's very, very important.
Right now, the judge said that we have to be supervised with our 3 kids. With
That's okay.
my husband's mother.
That is okay. That's okay. If it's now, you said you have a family kin. It's with your husband's mother. Well, that's okay. That's not foster care. That's okay.
That's right.
That's a lot better than having a foster parent that can hurt them. So that's not bad. If you can still see them, your case is not closed. Your problem is you tried to use a court-appointed attorney that did nothing for you, and you need a real attorney, and you need to tell Vincent Davis, when you talk to him about your situation, tell him that you have a case that opened in March of 2024, and they suppose the judge says the case is closed. You can't close the case that quick. They're going to keep it open, and furthermore, they need more money. As I say, $20,000 a month is what they need. So,
Oh, yeah, they were wanting not to give them to my mother-in-law and father-in-law, because where they could do their investigation.
Right.
And the judge said, no. Why would why would you need? And they said, well, we need to run more background checks and more fingerprints.
Okay.
And it's going to take 5 to 6 weeks.
Well, most
They
cases,
were wanting to keep our kids.
they have to report if that guy that called in, or that girl, where the person is that called in with the false allegations, that's a lay person. They have to, within 24 hours, investigate, and they will say you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Dependency court is the only court where you're guilty till you're proven innocent. All other criminal courts, other courts, you are not guilty until you're proven guilty. But
we figured that out because we were guilty right from the start. We didn't have.
Well, that's how CPS works. They believe whoever calls in. That's how stupid they are. That's one of the biggest problems about lay people calling in CPS abuse or neglect of children. They use it as retaliation. A lot of times a neighbor doesn't like another neighbor because of their dog barking or they're overgrown with yard or whatever the case is, and they'll make a falsified CPS case against them. So that's what may have happened in your case. So
it is. We reported them for stealing.
Yeah.
And they called.
Yeah. People are bad in this world. They don't realize getting CPS involved, or maybe they do, that's the worst nightmare parents can go through because they're very corrupt. You're dealing with.
And then she took it back. She recanted her statement because she didn't realize that the kids were going to get taken.
Oh, yeah. And so, I'm sorry you guys are going through that. I'm trying to.
We kind of in a hurry to go call our own attorney.
Yeah, but we're going to call the attorney. We have to go and.
Okay. Well, I understand you have to go, but I appreciate you guys calling in. I don't want you to give up. I'm on 14 times, twice a day, every day. So you can always call me back and talk to me some more. It's not going to cost you anything. And I can give you my experience. I have a cohort with her experience, and we have a lot of people in the room that will help you. So I appreciate you two calling in, and good luck with your case. And keep in touch, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow, that was an interesting one. That was from Columbia, Louisiana, near Shreveport. and they supposedly in March of this year had a someone retaliated who they were stole from, I guess, and they retaliated because they turned into thieves, and they decided to call CPS and make false allegations. And that's one thing I really want to tell you out there. It's so hard when you have lay people that just pick up the phone and say, "Hi, so and so is not supervising their children." Bingo. The ambulance chasers, CPS, jump in their car and immediately want to take the child. No chance to meet or talk or anything like that. So they do that. And it's so sad. It is so sad that CPS is allowed to violate your civil and constitutional rights and use on that. So, okay. All right. I was talking early part of my show about how you can interact. We had a phone call come in. It sounded like they were loving parents that wanted their children. And I gave the phone numbers. One way you call it is my office number. I'll put it back up. But also another way is you can type in comments of your CPS question. Please show your name, city, state, or country, and be complete with your case. And when I say country, so far I've had Australia and Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana from South America, Mexico, from Africa, and Denmark. And recently I've been having Liberia on the west coast of Africa. So I've had 2 African nations and a South American nation, and they have CPS problems too. So you all are welcome. It's just that type in your comments about your CPS question, show your name, city, state, or country, be complete with your case. Now, I've talked about calling in. I've talked about typing in a comment. Lastly, if you want to be a guest on my show, and I'd love to have you as a guest, it adds flavor to the show, and we can go over that. All I ask is that you email our show producer. Our show producer is Grace. She works behind the scenes, but she'll help you get on the show, give you the links and everything to work the show. I'm on 14 times a week, twice a day, 7 days. That's Monday through Sunday. And in the morning at 10 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time, and the evening 1 hour at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And that's for 1 hour. Oh, boy, I need some drink here. You just say, hey, I want to be on Bob's morning Sunday show, or I want to be on Bob's evening show on Monday, or whatever, and then she'll arrange it. So all you do is type in, whoops, I lost it here. You type into our producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. That's our show producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com. You email her and tell her what you want. So those are ways you can interact with this live podcast. I'll leave my number up because that one is hard to remember. And the other things is, you guys should already know. Again, you email Grace at vincentwdavis.com if you want to be as a guest. And you can type in a comment right now, and I'd love to help you, and the people in the room would love to help you. Let me see here. Danielle was my co-host. She was on for a bit, but then she had technical problems, so she's off. And Faye, I've not heard from her this morning, so she's one that is on a lot and so forth. And then I got my other regulars in the room who I don't see this morning. I hope they're okay. What you guys are faced with is a very difficult agency to work with. They're a branch of social service. They're supposed to be protecting our children from neglect and abuse, but they're also supposed to do family reunification. And it's important. So when you start off your case, it starts with a allegation made by a professional. That could be a doctor, a lawyer, nurse, hospital. If your child's in the hospital, the doctor may call if he suspects abuse or neglect. They're professionals. They have to by law. Now, a layperson may have seen something that is neglect or abuse, but they also are people that, I hate to say it, are trying to alienate the kids from the parents, retaliate against the parents. That's the sad part about this CPS thing, because I feel they should do, every complaint should be in writing and signed with their name. And they don't have to disclose the name at first, but if it turns out to be a bogus complaint, then their name should be released and that the person should be prosecuted for making a false claim. Also, I think when people sign their name, they're a little bit more sincere, and I don't think it may weed out some of the bad people out there. People are using CPS. CPS is using parents. They're trafficking our children. I don't know how else to describe them more, except you're Alice in Wonderland. You've gone into your garden, you've fallen in the rabbit hole, and suddenly you're now in rooms after rooms with nothing that makes sense, nowhere to go. You know, they are a spider spinning a web around you, and they'll take you in. They'll use police as intimidation. They try to intimidate you. They're not there to help you. They don't like parents. They don't like grandparents. They don't like seniors. They don't like elderly. They really are anti. My case was terrible. In 2010, I lost my job through no fault of my own. And for 5 years, I had to endure CPS workers coming out to my place or talking to me and things like that. And I held them off. You know, when they say your kids aren't in school, I show them the report cards. When they say the kids are not fed or things, I show them the food in the refrigerator. If they don't have clothing, I show them their clothing in the closet. I show their rooms nice and clean. At first I let them in my home, and that was a mistake because later on in my life, unfortunately, my parents were dying and they wanted to sell their home, and they asked me if I could take their belongings and pass it on to family and relatives. Well, I had a large house, but their house was bigger, and I took all their belongings, and they were stacked downstairs. They weren't up in the children's room where they can harm them or anything. But they said, "Oh, wow, you have things that could, a box could fall on a child or furniture could tip over." I said, "My kids are old enough. They're 9, 12, and 15. And I don't think any boxes would fly upstairs and attack them. I don't think furniture could walk upstairs." But they insisted, and on top of school, and they took them. They took them from the school, and that was wrong. They weren't in immediate danger, and that's the sad part, is they abuse the system because they want the money. It's the money thing. And I wish Danielle was here because she could show you the picture of the pink ladies. That's the attitude that social workers have. There are 8 ladies that decided to make T-shirts, pink in color, and on the front of them it said "professional kidnappers," and on the back it said, "Do you know where your kids are at?" Implying they're out there taking children needlessly into custody so they get the money. And they paraded those shirts in public. They were caught and they were fired. All 8 of them, 25 years experience out the door at Prescott, Arizona. Prescott, Arizona is where this happened in 2022. Look it up on the internet. I'm not making it up. These are corrupt social workers. In fact, everybody I've talked to, and I've talked to all the 50 states, and I've already talked to 9 or 10 countries, and they say that CPS is corrupt. I've had one social worker, and I challenge any other social workers to call in to talk about CPS. But that one social worker from Maryland, Carol was her first name, and she said that she had a degree in clinical psychiatry, and that she had 6 months of additional training by Maryland to how to be a good social worker. But I've had several cases from Maryland that just told me the opposite. So I don't know what to believe, and I wish the social workers come back. I wish any of the social workers could tell me your side of the story. Explain to me why you have to take children that are in immediate danger from their homes. I mean, where were you, social workers, when uh, a 10-month-old child was left alone in the home for 12 days with no food, no water, sitting in a sitter and helplessly dying through torture? I mean, you can imagine the first 24 hours how that child was with no water, no food. And 12 days later, the parent comes home. Why is my child dead? Well, they're dehydrated, lack of food. You left them unsupervised, and they were on vacation in the Caribbean. So there are bad cases of abuse and neglect. I know so. And we need the CPS, but we need CPS that care about the families that are trained and educated. Most CPS workers don't have a college degree. That means they don't have a background in social work or in clinical psychiatry. And they should. They should have that background. They should be a college degree in social work, in clinical psychiatry. They can major in one, minor in the other, or vice versa. They need to take a license. They need to take a test to get a license. And the license should be renewable every so many years. And they need to mentor another social worker for at least, 6 months to a year to determine if they are able to work with the family. I mean, here they are telling parents to take parenting classes they've never taken, or programs, anger management or what, that they've never taken. So, you're dealing with an entity like those pink ladies that so proudly tell you what they are: professional child kidnappers. And where are your children? Another social worker a couple days ago in Chicago, Illinois, posted an ad from 1848, and it said, "Black children for sale." Now, that's sad. And the other uh, ethnic group in the United States has been really hard on is the Native American Indian, the first immigrants. And it wasn't until 1978 that they instituted the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, where children, CPS has to turn over the children to the tribe, and the tribe will try to reunite the family and work with their issues. But for so long, the the blacks and the Native American Indians were constantly, their children were constantly put up for adoption, and nothing was ever done with the parents. So we have, we went to the Civil War about slavery, and it's sad, but we still have problems in CPS. They're very corrupt. They're not transparent. So it's an uphill battle. We need to tell our congressmen, our congresswomen, our representatives, or senators about what's going on. There's investigations all over the place in all the different states, but it's a slow and tedious thing. I wish that Congress would hold a hearing about how bad CPS. Congress talks all the time about getting money for all their programs. They're always short on money. They don't realize that money's being wasted. I mean, think about it. The military will submit an invoice to be paid for a toilet seat for $1,000. It doesn't cost $1,000 for a toilet seat. Or a cult in Salt Lake, Utah, a religious cult, has asked the government for millions of dollars to help them find an alternative fuel source. And for the last 5-10 years, they haven't produced one drop of fuel, but they get this constant millions of dollars sent to them. And so that's where our money's being wasted. We have no watchdogs on our money in the government. We work hard. All of us work hard and pay taxes. And these tax dollars, the government is wasting them. They're wasting them. It does not take $20,000 per child. There's so much money to be made in the child protection system. It's so much money. It's unbelievable. It's a $50 billion business. I'm telling you that. Right now, Richmond, Kentucky, has an ongoing investigation. They were at $395,000. Now they're at $800,000, where they don't know where the money went to. They have no idea. They spend money they don't show where it was spent on. So people are embezzling money in the CPS offices. They're paid bonuses. My social worker talked about her Gucci purse every week that she had, or a BMW car, or her eyelashes, her makeup, her clothing, her earrings. That was all from bonuses she got with my children. And I'm telling you, I know from firsthand that they're abusing the system. And any of you social workers out there, I challenge you to talk to me on the show and tell me you're not doing this. Tell me you're not professional kidnappers. Tell me you're not trying to where your kids are at. What is the attitude of social workers? I know you may think it's a terrible job, and it's sad because people are people. They're human beings, and we need to treat them equally. We need to uh, help each other. We don't need to tear each other down. And it's stupid because families, the best parents are the biological parents. The studies have shown time after time the best parents are the biological parents. So I'm telling you, you need to, you know, we need to help each other. We need to get the families back with their kids. If they have a hiccup or something, like this last family that called this morning, they were charged with neglect because not adequate supervision. Well, that's not immediate danger. What they could have done is they could have said, "All right, we'll temporarily put your kids with a family member, and to you take some classes in parenting that will help you with that issue." But they don't do that. Right now, they've said, "Oh, the case is closed." The judge, I don't understand their case. They had a court-appointed attorney that did nothing for them, which is sad because I talked earlier about rule number 1 of how to find an attorney. And, all you have to do is type in the city. And if it's a small city, type in the secondary city, a large city, the state. And then you say the word find in that city and state. So I'm going to example Georgia. Find in Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, a pro bono, which means no charge, dependency attorney. And you'll see what you come up with. And try to get at least 10 names. And from the 10 names, call them and ask them, are you a pro bono attorney? Do you fight CPS cases in dependency court? Have you won your cases? Have you filed lawsuits against CPS? And that's a big one. If they say yes, that means that's a good law firm because most attorneys don't like to file lawsuits against CPS. And you can only file a lawsuit if your case is closed. And when you have to file it, it has to be something that violated your constitutional or civil rights. It can't be that it caused problems with you going through it. You can't sue them for grievance or those kinds of things. So you can sue them for improperly doing things correctly and things like that. They are accountable. They can be suable. But call Mr. Davis. He's one of the 5 people you should consult with. He's charges for 30 minutes, $60. 30 minutes for $60, and he'll talk to you. But I know you can find one. I didn't have an attorney at first, and that was a mistake. I tried to fight it with a court-appointed attorney, and it was never going anywhere. And I tried to, fight him myself, pro se, and that wasn't going anywhere. I tried to meet with the social workers, or not the social workers, the director of CPS, and he was a waste of time because he lived in a Taj Mahal of a building, the Green Emerald City of the Wizard of Oz. That's his place. And he had so much gold around his neck, I thought he was going to fall over. And that's the guy that's determining about your future with your kids. And it's sad. It's sad. They hurt me so many times. But I got an attorney after about a year, and I got my 2 boys back. My daughter was stolen, and she was convinced because when my attorney, Vincent Davis, cross-examined her on the witness stand, and she lied underneath oath, we caught her in a lie, and she said to us, "I'm going to retaliate. You're never going to see your daughter again." And she told our daughter, who was 12 at the time, "You divorce your parents, divorce your brothers, divorce your relatives, and you change your name, you seal your birth certificate, and you get adopted into foster care." But that being said, She went and did that. Now, no 12-year-old knows all that. So that was done by CPS. So they're the ones that stole my child, our daughter, who's 21 now, and she still hasn't talked to us because she's been brainwashed. See, that's the problem is the kids are brainwashed. They're alienated from their parents, and that's against the law. You do not alienate nobody. That's against the law. But I'm telling you, with that rule number 1, you got to fight them. You got to fight them. Now, I have 2 other rules. Rule number 2 is the keeping track of your paperwork. You need to get a binder, a 3-ink binder, 6 inches thick, stuff it full of college rule notebook paper, and get subject tabs. And you need to arrange your subject tabs. And the first one that comes to my mind is incidents. So you label that tab as incidents. And what you do on the paper is you do the first line, the date and time, and the people involved. The next line, you put down what the description of the incident is. And then the third line is the outcome. And you skip a couple lines and do it again and again and again. Because 6 months, a year from now, you won't remember everything. And so that will help you. Use pink and yellow highlighters. It helps you see the material and what you're trying to weed out from all your notes and stuff. Your section tab could be a list of places that like classes you've taken, programs you've taken, and you can put the certificates and hole punch them and put them in there in that section. You also can put a list of all the drug tests that you've taken. You can also put a list of any psychiatrists that you've seen. So anyway, it's a list, and it's a list of things that you've done about your case and so forth. A third subject would be info, and that could be places that you visit, websites, anything to do with CPS you can put in there. And then you can put in the next subject is you can put in the CPS's paperwork, which is the plan, the documents. You can hole punch them and stick them in there. What you're trying to do is keep track of it. I didn't do it, and I was lost in 6 months or a year. So you need to do that. You need to do that. So do your paperwork. Take the book with you. It'll be with you through your case, and it will help you in the end. It will really help you. Now, the last rule I have is that you have to be very careful in opening the door, talking to strangers. At this time, I always ask my co-host, Danielle, to put a picture of Roger, who is a black Air Force veteran who was shot down at point blank by 5 bullets from a sheriff. A Gainesville sheriff was coming to investigate domestic violence, and his apartment was singled out, even though there was no one else in the apartment but himself. He was on FaceTime with his with his girlfriend, and she saw him die in the video. It's so sad. There was a cam video that was released, and it showed the officer banging a couple times, not saying anything, then finally saying, "Open up. This is the sheriff." Not really identify himself, not saying it was really, and the guy that was behind her, the veteran, did have a gun. He had a license to carry the gun, but he didn't have it drawn. It was at his side. And when he opened the door, the guy point blank shot him dead. 5 bullets is not necessary. I don't care what law enforcement agency is, wherever you're taught. You got to be good enough to be a shooter that can shoot him with the foot, the shoulder, the leg, the arm, some of the non-vital parts of the body. But 5 bullets into the heart, that means the person's dead. And what did the guy do wrong? What did the guy do? There's no domestic violence found in the apartment. They probably had the wrong apartment, or the girl that reported it was confused. It was a well-to-do neighborhood and a gated apartment, and the guy's work was nearby. His Air Force base was nearby. And the sheriffs in Gainesville is trying to cover it up because they're not saying much. They did put the guy on administrative leave, but they won't tell what race or what sex he is. So I doubt very seriously he'll be swept into the thing. The family does have a high-profile attorney. They will get to the bottom of this, and they will sue because this is wrongful death. It could have been avoided. I mean, all the sheriff had to do was explore a little bit, listen to the wall, look around for a window to see if anything's going on. And then after that, then he could get to the door frame and be to the side of it and knock on the door firmly, but say, "This is the Gainesville Sheriff's Department. We are investigating a domestic call. Is there anybody in there? And how many people are in there?" And then you could also say, "I want you to unlock the door and lay face down. If you have a weapon, put it to your side, not next to you, and put your hands behind your head." And then what the sheriff can do is open the door slowly, look inside from the side, and assess the situation. If he sees a man on the floor with his hands behind his head, he gets behind the man and he handcuffs him, pushing the weapon further away. He also check the rest of the apartment to see if anybody else is there. But that wasn't done. That black man is dead. He died on May 3rd. So that is sad. That is really sad because he didn't get a chance to do something for this world. He served our country. He was a good airman, and he'd be well missed. And I pray for him. That's really sad. But that's my knowledge is why you don't open doors. Because you open a door, you don't know who's on the other side. Also, furthermore, it's your castle. They can't get in your home unless there's a crime being committed, like if there's a gunshotting, knife shooting, the child being thrown against the wall, something that would say extreme danger, they can enter the home. Also, they need a warrant to go in the home. And a warrant is a court document signed by a judge that correctly has the information on it. It's a legal document, and it should say who the person is addressed to, who the name of the children, what are the allegations, and what address they're supposed to come to, and what date and time they're supposed to come to, and then what they're supposed to do. Talk to the people, come into the home to search the home, or to take the child. So all that's got to be on that warrant, and it's got to have a wet signature of the judge, and it's got to have the embossed signature of the embossment certificate that the document is legit. So, the rule is you just don't let them in. Also, you don't need to talk to them. Everything you say will be held against you. Everything you say will be held against you. And it's wrong. It's wrong. So, don't let them in, and don't let the police in. Don't let the police intimidate you. They're very intimidating. It's just short answers. Yes, no. And if you don't know and you feel really intimidated, say, "I need to go. I need to talk to my attorney before I go much further with this matter. Please give me your name or show me your badge number and show me your ID so I get your name," because they will lie. They will lie. You ask for business cards. Most policemen and most county workers will have a business card. And so you take that and show them to your attorney and try to do rule number 1. Now, rule number 3 that I'm talking about is no to social workers, no to police. Don't let them take your children. But there's a medical part of this. There's a thing called medical trafficking. Lately, what they're doing is you take your child in for help because they have a severe thing you can't handle at home, and you take them to emergency. And the doctor may say this or that, but you may say, "Well, I want to get a second opinion. Can it wait to see his regular pediatrician?" But instead, they call the CPS worker, or the CPS worker works at the hospital. They immediately take your children, which is wrong. There's nothing. They should not have taken your children. That is sad. They do that. They medical traffic your child. Or you gone there to have a birth of your child, and they march in because you tested positive, with drugs or something, and they immediately take your child away just after birth. That's wrong. You should be able to be with your child, nurse them, and get them back to health, and have a test done by your own doctor. You got to be careful with testing and evaluations done by social workers. Social workers are not doctors. They can't do clinical psychiatry evaluations. They can't prescribe drugs. They're not a doctor. And they certainly can't take tests. They're not a drug facility test. You need to make sure that you use your doctors, your test facilities. And you can't keep track of that. So don't let them take your child. Tell them, the doctor's staff, to tell them to wait in the lobby because you don't want to give up your child. And if money is a problem, I sold my home because I wanted my kids back that bad enough. So I got the money for my home, and I was able to get my 2 boys back. My daughter's gone, as I told you. She was alienated and lied to, and at 21 years, she left her foster care because they're probably abusing her. And so she's out on her own, and hopefully she's doing okay. I really don't know too much. It's now time to end this broadcast. And so I want to thank all of my listeners out there. And thank you for your questions and answers. And I do want to see you all again. I'm on again at 7 o'clock tonight. This is Bob Pace telling you to keep fighting for your children. God bless you. And I'll see you this evening. Bob Pace signing off.